in the absence of Joan. Also with us are Zoning Administrator John Paskey and Secretary Paul Eschenbacher. The board operates under the following procedure. The chair will name and describe the case. The zoning administrator will state the basis of the objection and any applicable facts or conditions pertaining to the case. The appellant or representative will give reason why the appeal should be viewed favorably. Anyone wishing to speak in favor of the request will be heard. Anyone wishing to speak in general comment will be heard. Anyone wishing to speak in opposition will be heard. If necessary, the appellant or their representative will offer concluding summary or rebuttal remarks. Then testimony from the floor will be closed and the board will deliberate and render a decision. Excuse me. According to Athens City Codes 230703B, the board has the power to grant variances from the strict application of the code, provided the variance will not be contrary to the public interest, the spirit of the code is observed, public safety and welfare are secured, and substantial justice is done. According to Athens City Code 230910C, variances from the code shall not be granted unless the board finds, based on direct, specific findings of fact, that each of the following conditions has been supported. One is practical difficulty and undue hardship. Because of exceptional or extraordinary circumstances or conditions pertaining to a specific piece of property, a literal enforcement of the regulations will result in practical difficulty or undue hardship that is unnecessary to the achievement of public purposes. Exceptional circumstances. There are exceptional or extraordinary circumstances or conditions applying to the property in question or to the intended use of the property that do not apply generally to other properties or classes or uses in the same zone. Preservation of equal property rights. Literal interpretation of these regulations would deprive the appellant of rights commonly enjoyed by others in the same zone and the same vicinity, while a granting of the requested variance will not confer on the applicant any special privilege that is denied to other properties in the same zone and the same vicinity. Minimum variance. The variance granted is the minimum variance required to make possible the reasonable use of the property. Absence of detriment. The authorizing of such variance will not be of substantial detriment to adjacent property and will not materially impair the purpose of the zoning code or the public interest. Not of a general nature. The condition or situation of the specific piece of property or the intended use of the property for which the variance is sought, one or the other or in combination, is not of so general or recurrent in nature as to make reasonably practicable the formulation of a general regulation for such condition or situation. Any person, resident, or officer, department, or appointed body of the City of Athens aggrieved by a decision of the board may petition the Athens County Board of Common Pleas concerning the illegality of the decision. Such petition must be filed within 30 days after the mailing of the decision of the board to the applicant. There are two cases on tonight's agenda. They are 1206V and 1207V. The board is required to take testimony under oath, so would anyone wishing to speak concerning any item on the agenda please stand. Do you swear or affirm that any testimony you will present to the board will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Amen.
Thank you. In that case, we are ready to hear case 1206V. This concerns the property at 357 East State Street. It's in a B3 zone. The applicant is requesting a variance from ACC 230313I2D to allow a directional sign that is 58.5 square feet in area and 14.75 in height, where 15 square feet in area and 6 feet in height are the maximum allowed. So, Mr. Eschenbacher, would you like to tell us about it?
In the first place, I'm afraid I made a mistake in the
variance request, the maximum size for directional sign is not what I have listed there, 15 square feet and 6 feet in height. It's 3 square feet in area and 3 feet in height.
Okay.
So if it comes to the point of making a motion for that. Just to be, so everyone is absolutely clear, we're talking about the sign on Home Street at the entrance. It says Bob Evans Entrance there. In comparison, the current directional sign there is 14 and a half feet high and approximately 50 square feet. So this the sign that they're proposing would be a little bit larger in size, but about the same height. Also, the only other thing I have to add is Bob Evans has had 2 other variance requests for this property in 87 and 88 for the main sign on East State Street, both of which were denied. They wanted one that was higher than what was allowed, and then they wanted another one in a location that wasn't allowed. And again, they were both denied.
Okay. Would you repeat again the intended square footage of the sign that they are proposing?
The intended square footage that they wish to put up is 58 and a half square feet.
Okay, so that was correct.
That's correct. It's just the 15 and the 6 feet high that I got incorrect.
Okay. Okay, so we're dealing with 58.5 and 3 feet in height? Is that what you said, 3 feet?
Correct.
Okay, all right, thank you. The representative, if you'll just come to the podium and give us your name and address, we want you to look official.
Say name and address.
Please.
Michael Cox with Day Night Sign Company, 1640 Harmon Avenue, Columbus, Ohio, 43223.
Okay, hold on 1 minute. Did you have a comment, Craig?
Paul, is the code specific on what types of institutions or businesses can have directional signs, or is any business allowed to have a directional sign?
Yeah, I think any businesses, I mean, go through read the exact term here. Directional signs. Directional freestanding signs indicating traffic routes on each street where business has ingress and egress may be permitted in addition to the other limitations of this chapter, provided that no such sign exceeds 3 square feet in a single face sign area or is closer than 15 feet to any side lot line, provided that no directional sign exceeds 3 feet in height to the top of the sign. Only one such sign may be permitted. So it says business.
I think what you were referring to are off-site directional signs, which are more for public institutions,
Right.
churches, et cetera. That would be off-site. This one is on-site.
On-site. And so the present sign they have is also considered a directional sign?
Yes.
The entrance sign?
Yes.
Yes. Sorry to interrupt now.
That's
If you'll
okay.
just tell us what we need to...
Well, the sign that is existing is, we're not changing that. That sign is going to remain. All we want to do is change the face of the sign. So we're not changing the size. It's exactly the same sign. All we're doing is changing the face. Bob Evans is rebranding their signs. It's a small change, but they're changing from a yellow logo, yellow signature, to a white signature. And that's what we want to do. We were already granted permits to change the faces on the existing pylon, the one pylon on East State Street, and then also the 2 channel letters or 3 channel letter sets on the building. So this is the remaining sign on the site that needs to have its face changed to meet with the new branding.
When you mean changing the face on the same location, changing it, or moving it somewhere else?
No, it's going to be
At the
exactly the
same
same
exact
place.
location?
We'll take the sign, unbolt it, bring it to the ground, put new faces in it, put it right back up, and
okay.
bolt it back in place.
Okay, would you please reiterate the size of the current sign? Somehow I've become quite confused.
The current sign is 74 inches tall by 114 inches long, and 103 inches to the bottom of the sign. So it's roughly 14 and a half feet to the top of the sign, and approximately 50 square feet.
Okay,
And when
so,
Bob Evans opened that restaurant, actually it'd be 24 years tomorrow, and it's an odd entry to the sign, or to the site. So you have to
Yes.
turn off Estate, down Home to find the entrance. And, that was, when they go into a site, that's one of the characteristics.
Sure.
They look at what kind of signs they're allowed, and they were allowed that sign in 1988. So that's important to them to have that visibility to guide people into that entryway. It's not that obvious where the entrance is to the restaurant.
True, okay. So in essence, it is the same sign, which is not in compliance with the sign ordinance,
Correct,
but there is no change in it.
correct.
And it had previously been granted
That is
to be
correct.
that size.
Right.
It was in compliance in 1988.
Yes.
Okay,
It's been
It's a
changed.
legal, non-conforming sign.
okay, all right. Questions?
I'm just surprised to know that if the location is not changing, is the matter of switching the side would be an issue that has to come in here.
Well, we've had other signs that, a perfect example is the one up at Taylor, when the tornado hit it, and anytime something's changed, altered, or whatever, if the sign, and we have a partner code that specifically states that any non-conforming site, any change, alteration, et cetera, is required to come through the BZA. So.
Now, my question to you would be that it doesn't look like the significant change from visibility from the East Estate Street, you still have to come to Home Street,
Right.
and by then you'll see it, so I don't know if the change is going to be significant for the business.
I think it'd be
Usually
very,
the same.
to go from the 14 feet to drop down to 6 feet, you mean?
No,
Or-
I'm talking, if you're changing the sign, the face of it, it's still way back on Home Street. It's not visible, it still won't be visible.
Well, right, the only reason they're changing it is to change the brand.
The brand,
of the color from yellow to white.
Right.
And we're doing that throughout all the Bob Evans locations, the 560 locations that they have. So it's just a branding process.
And if the variance were granted, then in the future, if they change that brand again, since if they just change the face, then we wouldn't have to go through this. It'd just be, because it'd be in, a variance to be granted at that point. So, but as it stands right now, there's not a variance standing for it.
If you're just changing the face, why is it increasing in size?
It isn't.
It- that's-
It isn't. It's
I
exactly.
think
58
probably-
That's incorrect.
Is not correct, okay.
Yeah, it's the same size as what it was.
That probably came from the information we got off the application in 1958, so.
No, well, the information we got on the permit that they just handed in said it was 58 and a half square feet.
Okay, but in fact, it's 50, is that right?
Or just say it's the same sign.
It doesn't really matter, yeah. Only the color will change, right?
It's the same.
On the diagram, on the picture you have here, the only thing you're changing is the part that has Bob Evans entrance. The white part above is not changing?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yep, and it still has the same red background that it has now. Just the Bob Evans and the word entrance changed from yellow to white.
Okay, other questions, comments? We would typically ask if there's anyone who wants to speak in favor of this variance, in general comment, in opposition. We are pretty much alone tonight, so,
Help me, I'll help you, whatever.
okay. So in that case, anything else you want to tell us?
No,
That you haven't
I
told
just know Bob Evans would really like to keep this sign there.
Sure.
And it's very important for them to be able to draw the customers in and, like I said,
Well,
it's been
and
there,
there-
it's not detrimental to the site, so it's,
Right. And there's
it's
an-
different than and I understand when in our industry, when you talk about directional signs, when you're driving by a Taco Bell or a Burger King or whatever, and they have the inner exits out front,
Right.
and you don't want those to be 100 square feet out front. You want to control those. Well, this is a little bit different than your typical directional, because it's not right in front of the store.
Exactly.
It's not right in front of the business, so it's a unique situation.
Okay. In that case, you can sit down if it makes you more comfortable.
Okay, thank you.
We need a motion? Question?
Well, just the way we have it is apparently incorrect. So do we have to really talk about the size when really we're just changing the color? Because it does say 58.5.
Well,
I think it would probably be good to put the size, and I
Which
think there would be
is-
no harm
Okay.
to say,
But
go
the
ahead.
size is 50 square feet?
What you got?
What, how big is this sign?
It's right here, 58.5.
I know.
That's wrong.
But then we've
That's
been told that
wrong.
it's 50, so which is it? So as long as we're putting it in, we might as well get it right.
Well,
How big you say it was? Your application said 58 and a half.
114 inches.
It-
Calculate the whole box area.
yeah, I think the way we normally
That's probably-
gauge the size of a irregular sized sign is we draw a square, so the square would go right across the top here,
Yeah.
rather than try to figure that out. So we basically make this into a rectangle. And I think
Size of
if
the
you would make a
rectangle
motion with
is?
58.5
Okay.
square feet as the size,
Okay.
that would cover that.
Okay, and then we'll add that it's in conformance with the sign that's already there,
Yeah.
or something. Okay, so let's have a motion.
I move that we grant a variance to 357 East State Street, Zone B3, Case 12-06V. The appellant is requesting a variance from Athens City Code 23.03.13 I-2D to allow a directional sign that is 58.5 square feet in area and 14.75 feet in height, which is currently approximately the same size as the sign now, where 3 square feet in area and 3 feet in height are the maximum allowed.
Yes. 50 square feet.
Okay. Do we have a second?
I second.
Okay, thank you very much. Things that you need to consider. Our findings are, let us see, the first thing we have to consider is whether we would cause unnecessary difficulty and hardship by denying this when there is in fact some exceptional or extraordinary circumstance that pertains to the property.
Now I'm confused. I mean, are we considering the findings in terms of size of the sign, or are we considering findings in terms of changing the color of the,
Well, the variance is for the size of the sign, which
Okay.
it's already a legal...
The sign's already there.
Yeah, the
Except they want
sign's
to
already
change the
there.
color,
All they're going to
so,
do is maintain the same sign with a different color.
yes.
Okay. So, what do you think?
I
Maybe,
think that the sign that is there is a reasonable sign because it's similar to the case we heard with the motel, where the entrance to the business is not directly on the street. And
you know, it's a little bit different because that was off-site, meaning the sign was not on their own property.
yeah,
So that's typically really not allowed. And I guess I would add that the exceptional thing here is that this has already been granted non-conforming status with the
Right.
previous variance, so, and they're not changing it, so, okay. And I guess I would consider that the exceptional circumstance as well, unless you have other things you want to add.
except we didn't have a variance before.
Well, I think they did. They got this
No
sign.
variance.
No.
No,
This was
yeah.
actually put up before the current sign ordinance
Yeah.
was
Okay,
Yeah,
all right.
yeah. But it's been there for 20 years.
Okay, all
Yes.
right.
They got a
So,
permit for it, but it didn't need a
okay, they
variance
got a
before.
permit for it, okay. I guess I would say in that case that the circumstance that's exceptional here is that the business faces the street, but you cannot enter it directly from East State Street. You have to go down Home Street, and then there are 2 driveways there, and so you're always confused. Is it this one? Is it that one? I'm going to the motel, am I going to Bob Evans? So, in my mind, they need a sign.
I agree.
Preservation of equal property rights. Literal interpretation will deprive them of rights commonly enjoyed by others in the same zone and vicinity, while granting will not confer any special privilege.
Well, the next business sign is fairly small. It's almost 5 by 5 for the, what's it, Baymont Hotel. And then I didn't see any other businesses, so
Okay.
So,
So you're saying that's the only business on the street?
Yeah.
And it has a smaller sign? Okay. Is this a minimum variance required to make possible the reasonable use of the property?
well, I admit that 3 square feet is too small, but comparing with the 58 and 3, that would be excessive.
Well, it is much larger, it's true.
Yeah.
But,
If it were to be done new, but
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
simply being refaced on
Yeah,
a,
that's the only.
It seems like it's just a cosmetic change
Yes.
as
Yes.
opposed to
Yeah.
any structural
What it is,
change.
Right.
Yeah.
the authorizing of such variance will not be of substantial detriment to adjacent property and will not materially impair the purpose of the code or the public interest.
No.
No, it would not.
Okay. Not of a general nature. It's not such a widespread problem that the city council needs to take it up.
It's
no,
not.
Okay. In that case, are you ready to vote?
we are.
All right.
I vote
That
yes.
is-
I
Okay.
would yes too.
Okay.
I vote yes.
And Ms. Townsend?
Yes.
Okay, and I also will vote yes, so you have the variance for that property. Okay. Our next case is,
Now, 10 years into that one, do it again, you want to go through that. All right. Thank you.
the next case is 1207B. This is a property at 8 Clark Street. It's in an R1 zone. The applicant is requesting a variance from ACC 230801A and ACC 231001, Table B, off-street parking requirements to allow a single rental unit with one parking space, 160 square feet in area, where two parking spaces, each with 180 square feet in area, are the minimum requirement. So, Mr. Eschenbacher, what can you tell us?
Okay. This came about because the house at 8 Clark Street at one time was a rental previously. The oldest rental permit I have here goes back to 1986. A few years ago, in 2007 or 2008 thereabouts, it became no longer a rental. So this is why this has come up again. The appellant, I'm sorry, how do you say your last name? Girolamo, okay, thank you. My last name's Eschenbacher, so I'm a little sensitive about this. He wanted to make this a rental again, and of course, he has to come up with a minimum of 2 parking spaces, no matter how many, whether it's 1 or 2 people there. I measured the parking area in front of the house, and the discrepancy, if you read his letter, he says that the parking space is actually 200 square feet, where I say it's 160. The discrepancy comes from part of the parking spaces in the right-of-way. And when you're creating parking for rental, you can't use the right-of-way in any way, even partially. So that's where that discrepancy in the measurement of that parking area comes into effect.
Okay.
The appellant 5 years ago came before the board and asked for a similar variance, except at that point he asked to have it as a rental with no parking. And so that's the difference between the variance request this time. He is requesting that he can have one smaller than normal space there instead of the 2 required. And the other thing I add is this is indeed a very tiny lot. The setbacks for where the house actually comes to the property lines varies anywhere from 9 inches to 3 feet on the sides and back. So there is no place on site to provide parking except for that one space.
Okay. If it were not a rental, but were simply an occupied house or an owner-occupied house, or just, let's just say, well, it'd have to be owner-occupied, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
And then, would it need 2 spaces?
No. Previously existing private
Okay.
homes.
So essentially, it's grandfathered.
It's grandfathered as a private home.
Okay.
It's only,
Anything else we need to know?
Do I understand correctly that he has 160 square feet, and he needs 180 square feet, 2 of those?
2 of
Yes,
those,
me
correct.
Two of those.
280 square feet.
yeah.
He's got-
Even if he wanted only one person in the house, the minimum requirement is 2 spaces.
In other words, 3,200 square feet, or 320 square feet,
Right.
Yes.
360.
360.
Yeah, 360.
Which apparently does not
Yeah.
exist on the property, right?
I should know this by now, but if you're only renting to one person, you still have to have 2 spaces?
Correct.
Yep.
Yep.
Wow.
Okay, let us hear from the appellant.
Hi, my name is Joseph Girolamo. I live at 232 South Plum Street in Troy, Ohio, 45373.
Okay.
And I'm asking for this variance. One, I would dispute that what I'm asking for the one parking spot is in the right-of-way, because what appears to be the alley is actually my property. And so I have 3 feet on the side of my house, which has been paved the same as the alley, but that's actually my property. So I would argue, and I really only need a few inches of that for it to be a legal parking space, because I have like 8.5 feet wide, where I would need 9 feet wide. And so I have that, and then the other thing is needing 2 parking spots, and as Mr. Eschenbacher has said, there's absolutely no property around this house where I could put another parking spot, other than paving the whole front up, tearing down the porch and paving the whole front of the house. And as I read the code, that's not allowed. And then finally, the house has been a rental for at least 12 years. I was just talking to one of the neighbors who is a permanent Athens resident, and he has lived there for 12 years, and he said the house has been a rental as long as he has lived there. And one, we already have the front, a parking spot in the front of the house, so it's already paved. It's not like I'm taking away grassy area or anything like that. And 2, if my renters were allowed to park on the street, this house backs onto a corner, so there's no house to the east of mine. It is the side lot of a house on, I forgot, is that Central?
Yes.
Okay, so it's the houses on Central that back onto the side of my house. So there's at least 100 feet where nobody else would be parking there. I have had 2 people have lived there, some acquaintances of mine have lived there for 4 or 5 years, and parking is never an issue on that street. There are rental properties to the west of my property, and they have adequate parking in the back. And so I'm not asking for anything that hasn't already been there for at least 12 years.
But not for the last 4.
Actually, I've had renters living there until my son and another guy were living there. My son moved out, the other guy stayed for another, and so I had renters up until last August.
But I assume without a legal permit, or you wouldn't have lost the status of the house as a rental?
I have never had a rental permit.
My goodness.
So, yeah, and so I'm saying this on tape. I guess I have broken
Okay, all right.
laws here.
Okay. How long have you owned the house?
6 years.
Okay.
Wait, 5 years.
When it was his son, it was okay, but
Yeah.
now it's not.
In the back of your house, there is a nice space in there, with the grass. Do you own that part, or?
No, I do not.
Yeah,
And
who
I-
owns that? Can you maybe talk to those guys?
I actually spoke to that man today, and he said, I am not the first person to ask him for that property, and so he turned me down just like he turned down the last.
And then
person.
past that alley, there is on the right side, there is, looks like a bunch of space in there, parking space for an apartment. Do they have any extra space you can lease?
I haven't approached them, but when I looked around in that area, there doesn't appear, there's quite a few units in that building. They're kind of squeezed in there. And actually, one of those people actually kind of parks on the grass, so I think they might be all filled up.
And I'm assuming that the Central Avenue Church doesn't have a parking lot.
No, it does not.
Okay. questions and/or comments?
There is no parking meter on the other street. Is that a 24-hour deal, or is
Yes.
it is so you can park in there? So there's.
Yeah.
I was able to park today, so.
Well, but the 24, you didn't park for 24 hours.
Well, I mean, if it's available, you said you can.
Well, it's a 24-hour.
Yeah, it's a 24 hours,
and
the
you
whole
have to
city is.
Oh,
Move it.
right, okay. All right, anything else you want to tell us at the moment? You have the right to come back and tell us more afterwards.
The only thing I do want to point out, and
Okay.
where my personal residence is, I have a rental property on each side of me, and fortunately, I have very good landlords who take good care of their properties, and I can appreciate the intent of the ordinance to maintain property values. And I just would like to point out that without the rental permit, the property value of this house will drop significantly. I already have had one person offer me like 30% less than, I have it for sale, and if I had the rental permit, I would take the for sale sign down tonight and just rent the house. It's much more valuable to me. I personally love the house and anticipate maybe, using it as a summer home or a vacation home or a retirement home. And but without the rental permit, the person offered me 30% less than what it is appraised at.
So your contract for the sale of the house is to sell to somebody who is going to be owner occupied, right? Is that?
My
Okay.
contract is to sell the house.
Sell the house.
I don't think I'm allowed to.
Because for any rental, you have to have two space.
Yes, and so people have looked at it, and as soon as they found out there was no rental permit, they walked away.
But you do have an offer on the table,
No,
not one you
it-
like. But-
That came and went quite a while
Okay,
ago.
all right, okay. We'll talk a little bit, and then if you have other things you want to add before we close the floor, that would be fine. Okay. Just let us know. Comments, discussion, whatever?
Well, with requirement of 2 parking spaces for rental, so that's, the property cannot be used as rental.
That's true, but actually, there's a requirement for 2 parking spaces for any house
Yeah.
that is not already
Yeah,
grandfathered.
but there is no
Let's-
space
There is
anywhere
no space.
around here, unless they can find somewhere within 250 feet.
So it'll need to be a single-family dwelling,
Yeah,
which is
which is,
not unreasonable.
True.
It is an old neighborhood, and some of those places down there do not have very much in the way of parking. I know one of the members who's not here tonight, Joan, her property has no driveway anymore, and there's no off-street
Well, it's
parking.
true really all over town, except the newer spaces. I live on the east side, and in my block, most people have driveways and/or garages. In the next block down from me, most of the houses have shared driveways. So the town is old enough not to have needed so much parking and not to have had so many students who needed places to live.
Is there an option available to make any type of variance conditional on the current owner owning it, and then once it would be sold, that variance would cease?
Well, then you would just pass the problem on to the next person, wouldn't you? They would have to come back to us if they
would
wanted
probably
to
know that
end it.
coming into it.
Yeah, so the only thing that could happen is that a person would buy it, or some people, it would be purchased as an owner-occupied house. And so-
Paul, what is the ratio of rental to owner occupied in that neighborhood?
Well,
Approximately.
if you're talking about Central Avenue from West State up to 2nd Street, and if you're talking about Clark and Curran, I don't know the exact numbers, but I would estimate that there are more rentals than private homes.
About the same as
Not
this.
much more, but I would say the majority of houses in that area are rentals. In that immediate area, as he said, the house on either side, the house on the corner there, 57, the house two houses, as you're facing 8 Clark, two houses on the right, 14 and 18 are rentals. There's a house next to West Side that is a rental. There is a house that is built in the middle, like if you were looking at between 8 Clark and West Side Elementary, there's a house that's right in the middle of the block that you have to take an alley to get to. That's a rental. So in that immediate area, and of course Sheltering Arms across the street, in that immediate area, almost all of them are rentals.
Since the two of you drive that area regularly for your workplace, what do you see during the year, the parking issues?
When school was being let out or starting, it's a definite problem down through there.
A week time period in the year,
At
end
a
of the school
specific
year?
point of day.
He
There's
means the
definitely a problem
elementary
when the
school.
school.
Oh, the elementary school?
Yeah, other than that, I don't see any problem there. Do you?
No, I don't, as you said, just other than school-related things, that side of Central Avenue, which is the only side you're allowed to park on right there, is not crowded all the time. And of course, in the summertime, when there's fewer college students here, it's a little lighter and stuff, but it's not heavy parking along that section of Central Ave, or Clark Street, excuse me.
Well, and I think we're always hoping that houses in R1 districts might become owner-occupied houses again, but the truth is, if it were an owner-occupied house, the people who live there might have 2 cars, or 3. So, I don't...
And if I may make another comment, I have received comments from people who have looked at it for their personal residence, and they are immediately turned off by the lack of any yard.
Yeah.
So that has been an issue with people who have looked at it to be owner occupants.
Okay. Other comments before we go through the findings? Questions? Okay. So we're going to close the floor. Again, there is no one to support or oppose you. So we'll go through the findings and come to some kind of a decision. Thank you. So our first thing to consider is a motion.
I can do it.
Okay?
I move that we grant a variance in case 1207V, Zone R1, 8 Clark Street. A variance from Athens City Code 230801A and Athens City Code 231001 Table B, off-street parking requirements, to allow a single rental unit with 1 parking space, where 160 square feet with 160 square feet in area, where 2 parking spaces, each with 180 square feet in area, are the minimum requirement.
Second.
Okay. So let us consider, the first thing is practical difficulty or undue hardship. Because of exceptional or extraordinary circumstances or conditions pertaining to the specific piece of property, a literal enforcement would result in practical difficulty or undue hardship that is unnecessary to achieve public purposes.
In this case, I would say yes, due to the extreme smallness of the property.
Okay. All right. Exceptional circumstances, and here again, we usually repeat what we've already said. You're saying the exceptional circumstances is the tiny, tiny lot. Okay. Preservation of equal property rights. Literal interpretation of the regulations would deprive the appellant of rights commonly enjoyed in the same zone and vicinity, while granting the requested variance will not confer any special privilege that's denied to other properties in the same zone and vicinity.
I thought I read somewhere that the appellant said other properties have sufficient parking spaces.
He said the house next to him has parking in the back, and perhaps others do too, I don't know.
But he doesn't, so.
No, he doesn't. So is this going to give him a special privilege in the neighborhood?
Maybe a little.
In effect, yeah. I mean, if rentals are required to provide 2 places, then we don't require him to provide 2 places.
Well, I think we've already said that this property, what did we say?
Special
It had a permit a long time ago that it seemed to keep for quite a while, So perhaps it came along before the zoning code got into place, or before the parking requirements got so stringent, which they have done in the last 5 to 10 years.
But he
okay.
said he never had the permit.
Well, but I guess we
Yeah.
can say his son was living there with people are allowed to have up to 3 renters if they are living in the property. We could say that excuses it, although it's extraordinary. Okay.
It's certainly the case that it's a funny old neighborhood, it's a very small house, and not very many people are going to be rushing to buy a little house like that for their own family to live in.
That's true.
So it does seem that the use of the property is fairly limited.
The variance is a minimum variance required to make possible the reasonable use of the property. And I think
Just
maybe
one
just-
space.
Okay.
Yeah.
The authorizing of such variance will not be of substantial detriment to adjacent property and will not materially impair the purpose of the code.
Right, parking doesn't seem to be a big issue in that neighborhood, so even if there were 2 cars, one on the
Street.
street, there's enough room for most times.
Well, all I can say to that is, yes, I agree with you, and yes, that's sort of the part of the slippery slope that got Athens
It is.
into the terrible mess that it's in now in
It
terms
is.
of rentals
Yeah,
and
it's
parking.
difficult.
Not of a general nature, the condition of the intended property, the use of the property, is not of so general or recurrent in nature as to make it necessary to formulate a general regulation.
It is not.
Okay. So, are you ready to vote?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, let's start with Ms. Towsby.
I vote yes.
I vote yes.
Yes?
Yes.
I guess I might as well vote yes, too. Okay. So you have the variance. And,
So the sign is gonna go down, huh?
okay. Is there other business? How about the minutes? Who has read the minutes, and can we approve those?
We discussed it at the last meeting. I'd like to make an amendment to the variance the way it was read for 63 North Court. I think if we could just request, do you have it in front of you, Paul?
Yeah.
You mean from the last meeting?
63 North Court, we
Okay.
failed to include on the setbacks, the rear yard, it is required to be 10 feet, and there's only, I think, 3 feet provided, and we should have said it, and we didn't say it wasn't included.
Okay.
So I just want to amend the resolution so that it includes it in there for our records, and we have it correct that way.
Okay. So Mr. Eschenbach is aware of that?
Whoever wants to do the amendment, there's the big long thing. We spent so much time worrying about the parking that we forgot
Okay.
about the rear setback.
Okay, so do you want me to read this whole thing? You want me to, what do you want me to do?
Well, I mean, do you wish to amend that right now? Because the only thing you need
sure.
to add
Okay.
is, before you start in on the parking requirements, where,
Okay.
you know, if you look at like the 3rd line or something like, where a minimum of 10 feet on one side and 15 feet total
Okay.
feet on both sides.
Okay.
And then add a rear setback of 3 feet,
For 10 foot.
where 10 feet is the minimum requirement.
This is the Blue Gator building, if you don't remember which building we're discussing here.
Okay.
Former Blue Gator.
Okay, now I will read the whole thing. Therefore, on a vote of 3 to 2, the board has approved your request regarding property located at 63 North Court Street for variances from ACC 231001A, schedule of bulk controls to allow remodeling of a structure with a first floor business use to also have 5 apartments with 20 total tenants, with 0 side yard setbacks where a minimum of 10 feet on one side and 15 total feet on both sides is a minimum requirement, and a rear setback of 3 feet where 10 feet is the minimum requirement, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. I'll give that back to you. Okay. Does everybody approve that?
I approve.
Okay.
I wasn't
Thank you.
here, but
Okay.
I
Thank
was
you.
here, I heard it too.
Okay. Other business, minutes?
do we have a case for next month?
Wait, we're trying to get the minutes
Phillips?
approved.
I move that we accept minutes as presented.
Thank you. So moved. Okay.
I'm sorry,
Do
who
we
made
have a
the
second?
motion for the
I
minutes?
did.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
I second.
Okay, thank you. Any other business?
other than what I informed you of already. We'll talk about that afterwards if you wish.
Okay, all right. Any business with any of you? Okay, so in that case, we are adjourned.